This new generation of the Mercedes SL was completely designed and developed by AMG, which means it should be pretty different from the previous generation. The previous Gen SL got kind of lost in a lineup for me because if you wanted luxury, you have the S-Class Coupe and convertible. If you wanted performance, you have the AMG GT and all its variants, the GTS, GTC, GTR, and so forth. So this kind of just continued on as this legacy model. But now the S-Class Coupe is gone, S-Class convertible is gone, the AMG GT has a new generation, so is this the luxury option? Not really, because developed by AMG means it's pretty sporty and aggressive. We also have some big changes for this new generation of the SL. It is all-wheel drive for the first time ever. We've gone back to a soft top instead of the folding hard top, and it's also a four-seater now. It's a 2+2. In terms of the powertrain, the SL63 has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 making 577 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. It has an all-wheel drive system, like I mentioned, 4MATIC Plus, which is a fully variable torque split between the front and rear axle, and a 9-speed multi-clutch transmission. Compared to the previous SL63, which had a 5.5-liter twin-turbo V8, an engine I love, that made 577 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque, but did 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, versus this will do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. That's the help of the all-wheel drive system, even though it makes less torque. The SL also comes in a couple different flavors. There's an SL55, which also has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8. Remember, the numbers don't really mean displacement anymore, it's just hierarchy. That makes 469 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. There's an SL43 at the very base, and at the very top we have an E Performance model, which makes 805 horsepower and 1,047 pound-feet of torque. But this week we are driving the SL63 AMG, so let's hop inside, talk about the interior, and take it for a drive. All right, let's put the top down and go for a drive. Luckily, you can hold the button and not have to use the little scroll bar on the screen to put the top down. It's 15 seconds up or down, up to speeds of, I believe, 37 miles an hour. And there we go, the soft top is down. That is a pretty big change from the previous gen to go from hard top to soft top, but it lowers the weight, lowers the center of gravity also. You can also set this center touchscreen to change angle when you put the top down to eliminate glare, so it goes much more vertical, but then you can customize it, so you can drop it all the way back. It's between 12 to 32 degrees, and you can slide it to whatever angle you would like to try to eliminate glare when the top is down. Let's go on the drive, AMG, we're gonna go into Sport Plus, exhaust valves open up, and off we go. You know, when AMG sets out to build a car, they're gonna do a good job, especially with something as iconic as the SL. And when it comes to convertibles, structural rigidity is always a big concern, unless you're a carbon fiber tub supercar, because you're removing the roof, a very large structural element. So they focused on that structural aspect of the new SL. The torsional rigidity is up 50% compared to the AMG GT Roadster. Longitudinal rigidity is up 40%. The body shell itself is 18% stiffer than the previous generation SL. And driving around this week, going over potholes, bumps, going up driveways and so forth, even with the top down, it has felt very, very solid. And the performance of this new SL has been properly impressive. My impression of the SL was always kind of the more status symbol, prestige, luxury Mercedes cruiser, right? When I was in high school working at a country club valet, the guys coming to play golf were driving their SL, whether it's SL550, SL63, and they weren't like the sports car. It was more of that status, luxury two-door coupe. You drove a Mercedes SL. But when AMG got involved, they definitely did all of their AMG magic. This thing is like potent. One of the first things I noticed is the noise. Listen to that. It sounds like an angry AMG. Not quite as deep of a rumble, but it still sounds good when the exhaust valves opened up in the more aggressive modes. And the exhaust pops and snaps are pretty pronounced too. You get a little bit of blow-off valve noise too. And it's all the more enjoyable when you have the top down and you can just hear that AMG V8. And then the handling dynamics are pretty impressive too. They got rid of conventional anti-roll bars, right? It's got a hydraulic system that helps control the body motion. You have almost too many different drive mode selections, right? So we've got like slippery, there's individual, comfort, sport, sport plus, race. I'm in sport plus now. There's many different ways to access them too. So you have the rotary dial here on the steering wheel on the right side, which you can quickly spin over to Sport Plus. You can also customize them individually when the screen pulls up with the AMG settings here. There is a lot to take in on the different drive modes. So I've been mainly just using Sport Plus, or if my girlfriend's in the car and she doesn't want me to drive like a maniac, I'll put it into comfort, and it really does change the personality. Suspension softens up. It is very quiet now. Fourth gear, third gear, second gear. Still get a bit of that V8 rumble in the back when you floor it, but nowhere near as aggressive in Sport Plus. And there's a race because this is the 63 AMG. I can't imagine like the SL63 of previous iterations. A race mode wouldn't fit the personality of that car. So it's completely transformed, which kind of leads to a little bit of the confused character because there's the AMG GT, which is meant to be the really, really sporty, powerful, quick one, right? That's more of the sports car in the lineup. I still think the SL should fit in as the luxury status one because we don't have the S-Class coupe anymore. So we've lost that in the lineup, S-Class coupe or convertible. So this has like a weird mix of performance, which is really, really quick, and then some of the luxury stuff, and then trying to be practical, but also not trying to be practical. So it's like a little bit confusing sometimes. I'll start with some of the interior touches, right? We have a lot of tech, a lot of tech. So very modern, obviously, this big center 11.9-inch square infotainment screen, which rotates back and forth. When I first drove the SL, I was so confused. Like, I was like, Mercedes-Benz UX, I'm not smart enough to use it. Like, my IQ is maybe a couple dozen points too low to understand how to use it. It was a little confusing to me. The more time I spent with it, the more I've become accustomed to it. I still don't think it's the most intuitive system out there. I ended up resorting to using the Mercedes command a lot too. Hey, Mercedes.
How can I help?
Turn on my massage seat.
I'm switching on the massage for you.
Thank you, because sometimes it takes too many taps and clicks to figure out where the massage seat settings are. The graphics are definitely nice, but they've just gone over the top with giving you options, right? Like just the center display screen here, if I go back, I can pick, I've currently got track pace as my kind of visual look. You've got super sport, sport, classic, understated, navigation assistance service. Those are all different options for configuring your main home screen. And then you have the heads-up display, which you can also reconfigure. And then within that, you've got different menus. I've got the G-force circle showing up on the left right now. There's just a lot. So like, old person luxury isn't this. This is a little overwhelming, right? If you're used to kind of more analog, conventional feeling stuff, there's a lot of tech to learn. The back seats are utterly unusable for people, right? If you have legs, there's no leg room back there. They were pretty much for luggage. I put my backpack and my suitcase back there because the trunk is also absolutely minuscule. One carry-on suitcase pretty much consumed all of the trunk space back there. Now the folding soft top is probably taking up less space than the hard top would, but there's still not much space back there. So as kind of a GT car, it's not going to be that practical. That being said, if you look at something like a Lexus LC500, it's also utterly impractical with a pretty much useless rear trunk, although that one actually might be a little bit more spacious than this one. But practicality is not phenomenal for the SL. I don't really know why they put back seats in here. I would have just made the trunk bigger and kept it as a two-seater in my opinion. But maybe that's to try to differentiate with the AMG GT. Got a little bit of open space right now. Let's do launch control. This thing is rapid. So like all the little interior things that I'm complaining about, the practicality or lack thereof, don't really care because you start driving it. Whew, this thing is potent. We have a lot of aerodynamic elements too, including active aero, right? So we have a rear wing that has multiple positions depending on if it wants to give you a little more stability or less drag. Kind of active rear wing out back, which can actually make it go up. Yep, there we go. Now it's in the most aggressive mode. I can control it on this left toggle here, which is customizable. I can change what these two toggles do. I currently have them set to rear wing and exhaust, but I could change it to have one of these turn, I don't know, my massage seat. Like there's so many different things you can customize on these little dials here on the steering wheel. There's also an optional aerodynamics package, which brings this little like carbon element on the underside of the car that will extend down a little bit and provide this like Venturi effect to suck down the front of the car. You can tell they went above and beyond in terms of the performance aspects. This has rear wheel steering as standard. So at speeds below 62 miles an hour, it turns the rear wheels opposite of the front to virtually shorten the wheelbase, makes it a little more maneuverable at parking lot speeds and so forth. At higher speeds above 62 miles an hour, they turn in phase, the same direction as the front wheels to help provide stability. So we have rear wheel steering on this thing. It's got so much tech. I already mentioned the drive modes, but also that can control the stability program. It can like brake the inside wheel to kind of help pull you into a turn. The traction control is obviously extremely advanced. So AMG just threw everything at this SL63, which again just adds to a little bit of the slightly confused character. In my opinion, it's not uncomfortable. It's definitely more firm than I would have expected out of an SL, but with the AMG badge and every one of them being an AMG, I guess I should have expected that too. So there's nothing that comes close to the Mercedes S-Class coupe and convertible in the lineup anymore. Instead, you have sort of two slightly diverted flavors of an AMG two-door with the GT and this. Is that a good thing? I mean, I'm not complaining about it, but I do wish they still had the proper like flagship luxury coupe and convertible, which I think this could have been. Paddle shifters give you pretty quick responses, upshifts and downshifts. This is one of my favorite sounding 4-liters actually. I haven't driven the AMG GT, favorite of the Mercedes ones. It sounds good, especially with the top down. Okay, this one's optioned to $203,000. That's very expensive. I think the previous generation SL63 started at like 155. This one's 187 base, and you start tacking on options, and we're at $200,000, which is definitely a lot. So back to some of those concluding thoughts on driving the SL63. It's definitely very nice, very quick, very expensive, but no longer has that luxury cruiser kind of feel to it anymore. It's gone much more into the sports car territory, but then why are there back seats? That doesn't really need back seats that are not usable. They're literally just for a backpack at this point, right? It's got a ton of tech. So much technology that I'm still kind of gradually learning it as I'm spending time with it this week. Like the headlights do this crazy dance and then project the AMG and Mercedes logo at night when you get in the car, when you lock it and so forth, right? We've got heated, cooled, massage seats, the voice assistant, the screen that does so many different things, little touch sensitive, little scrolly things on the steering wheel. There is so much about this car that I probably need another 2 weeks to fully learn and master all the tech and features in the SL63.
How may I help?
No, cancel. No, sorry, Mercedes, quiet. See, that happens sometimes. That was not on purpose. I did not mean to do that. But, I mean, throw it back into Sport Plus. Is it still? Shh, cancel. It's still listening to me. Little red things up top. Wow. I cannot imagine the E performance when they hybridize this setup, because honestly, this thing is properly quick, and I like that it has all-wheel drive now. I would do this as my all-year-round daily. Actually, no, the trunk is too small. I don't know. This thing is properly This thing is properly quick now. And the fact that it's gone to all-wheel drive expands the usability, but then soft top. So again, more confusing choices. If you want it to be your all-weather, all-year sports car, like in the winter, I would love a hard top probably more than a soft top. But I guess the Porsche 911 Cabriolet is also soft top, like a Turbo S type of thing. Although Turbo S costs a lot more. This is more like a GTS type of price point, I think. So if I had to summarize the SL63 in one sentence, lots to like, slightly confused personality, properly quick.